What if language was not created because humans became intelligent? What if humans became different because they learned how to speak? Before words, there was fear. Before sentences, there were hands. Before grammar, there was the need to survive together. Imagine an ancient human standing at the edge of a dark forest. The air is cold. The fire behind them is small. The group is quiet. Children are sleeping near the warmth. Elders are resting. Hunters are washing the trees. Then something moves in the darkness. A branch cracks. A shadow shifts. For 1 second, nobody knows what it is. Maybe it is food. Maybe it is death. The body reacts before the mind can explain. The heart speeds up. The eyes widen. The hand rises. The mouth opens. But the danger is not only private. If one person sees the threat, everyone must know. If one person remembers where the water is, everyone must know. If one person knows which plant is poisonous, everyone must know. If one person understands the track of an animal, everyone must know. Survival did not belong to one body anymore. It belonged to the group. And that may be one of the deepest roots of language. A private signal had to become a shared signal. A feeling inside one nervous system had to travel into another. Fear had to leave one body and enter many bodies. Not as a poem, not as a speech, not as philosophy. At first, maybe it was only a sound, a sharp breath, a warning cry, a repeated noise, a hand pointing, a face changing, a body freezing. But when the same signal worked again and again, something strange began to happen. The group remembered it. The same sound came back. The same gesture came back. The same meaning began to form. A noise became a sign. A sign became a habit. A habit became a shared world. And once a shared world exists, humans are no longer just reacting to nature. They are reacting to meaning. That is the beginning of something powerful, and also something dangerous, because language did not simply help ancient humans survive the world. It gave them the power to create another one. Today, language feels normal. You wake up and check your phone. You read names. You answer messages. You explain why you are late. You apologize. You argue. You joke. You lie. You say you are fine when you are not. You send a sentence and wait for a reaction. You delete a sentence because it feels too honest. You rewrite it because you want to sound calmer. You add a period and suddenly it feels cold. You remove the period and suddenly it feels softer. You add an emoji because the words alone feel dangerous. This is modern life. We live inside language so completely that we rarely notice it. Words are on our screens. Words are in our homes. Words are in our work. Words are in our memories. Words are in our relationships. Words are even inside our own heads. But because words are everywhere, we forget how strange they are. A sound leaves your mouth. There vibrates. Another person hears it. And somehow, an image appears inside their mind. Not perfectly. Never perfectly. But enough. Enough for cooperation. Enough for love. Enough for conflict. Enough for shame. Enough for civilization. This is not ordinary. This is one of the strangest things any living creature has ever done. One mind creates a symbol. Another mind receives it. And for a moment, two separate bodies share something invisible. We often treat words like tools, but words are not like hammers. A hammer changes the outside world. A word changes the inside of another person. That is why language is more than communication. It is mental influence. Every sentence is a small attempt to shape what another mind sees. When you say, "Look over there," you move someone's attention. When you say, "I promise," you create expectation. When you say, "I love you," you change the emotional world between two people. When you say, "You failed," you can place a wound inside someone's memory. When you say, "You belong here," you can make someone feel safe. Language is not just sound. It is social power. And ancient humans slowly discovered that power before they understood what it was. Most people imagine early language as a simple survival tool, a way to say, food, fire, danger, water, animal, come here, go there. And yes, language probably did those things. A group that could communicate danger had an advantage. A group that could teach tool making had an advantage. A group that could share memory had an advantage. But that explanation is too small, because humans did not only need to name the visible world. They needed to share what could not be seen: fear, memory, trust, suspicion, pain, desire, a plan, a lie, a promise, a dream, a story. The physical world was only one layer. There was another layer hidden inside the human mind, and language became the bridge. Think about what this means. A rock can be seen, a tree can be touched, a fire can be felt, but a plan is invisible, a rule is invisible, a warning about tomorrow is invisible, a memory of yesterday is invisible, a dead ancestor is invisible, a promise is invisible, a betrayal is invisible until someone speaks it. Language allowed humans to move invisible things between minds. That may be the real miracle. Not that humans could make sounds. Many animals make sounds. Birds sing, wolves howl, dolphins click, monkeys call. But human language became something different. It became flexible. It became symbolic. It could leave the present moment. It could point to the past. It could imagine the future. It could describe things that were not there. It could create things that never existed before. A tool can help a hand, but a word can help a tribe remember. A tool can cut meat, but a word can cut across generations. Ancient humans did not live alone. They lived in groups, and groups are complicated. A lone animal needs strength, speed, instinct, sharp senses, but a social animal needs more. It needs trust. It needs memory. It needs warning. It needs teaching. It needs to know who helped, who cheated, who shared, who lied, who is safe, who is dangerous, who belongs, who is becoming a threat. The larger the group becomes, the more invisible information matters. Not just where the food is, but who found it, who shared it, who kept it, who protected the child, who abandoned the group, who broke the rule, who can be trusted tomorrow. Language grew inside that pressure. Not from one single moment. Not from one genius sitting by a fire and inventing grammar. Not from a perfect first sentence, but from thousands and thousands of small needs. A mother calming a child in the dark. A hunter warning another hunter without moving too close. A group remembering where water was found. An elder teaching how to shape stone. Someone pointing at tracks in the dirt. Someone repeating a sound until others understood. Someone copying a gesture. Someone telling the group what happened yesterday. And then, one day, maybe, what might happen tomorrow. That was the revolution. Animals react to the present. Humans began to discuss the absent. The animal that is not here. The storm that has not arrived. The person who died but is still remembered. The place beyond the hill. The plan for tomorrow. The rule everyone must follow. The promise that binds two people. The insult that cuts even after the speaker has left. This is where language becomes more than sound. It becomes time travel. With words, humans could bring the past into the present. They could bring the future into the present. They could bring distant places into the present. They could bring imaginary dangers into the present. And once the mind can live outside the present moment, everything changes. The group can prepare. The group can teach. The group can warn. The group can coordinate. But the group can also worry. It can blame. It can judge. It can fear things that have not happened yet. This is why language was both a gift and a burden. They expanded the human world, but it also expanded human suffering. Before language, pain was more direct. Hunger, cold, injury, predators, loss. But after language, humans gain new kinds of pain, embarrassment, rumor, social rejection, the fear of being misunderstood, the fear of being judged, the fear of saying the wrong thing, the fear of silence. A deer does not lie awake wondering what the herd thinks of its personality. A wolf does not replay a conversation from 5 years ago. A bird does not build an identity out of words other birds used against it. But humans do. Because language gave us mirrors, and sometimes those mirrors became cages. A child hears one sentence and carries it for decades. You are not enough. You are weak. You are strange. You are difficult. You are a failure. A few sounds. A few seconds. But the mind can keep them alive for a lifetime. That is the dark side of language. Words do not disappear when the air stops moving. They become memory. They become self-image. They become inner voices. And eventually, humans do something no other creature seems to do in quite the same way. They speak to themselves, inside the mind, all day, all night, a private language, an invisible narrator, a voice that explains, judges, predicts, compares, worries, repeats. Ancient language helped humans coordinate with the tribe. Modern inner language often makes us fight with ourselves. A person can sit safely in a quiet room and still feel attacked by words. Not words from the outside, words from memory, words from imagination, words from the inner voice. What if I fail? What did they mean by that? Why did I say that? Do they respect me? Am I behind? Am I loved? Am I becoming nothing? This is not physical danger, but the body reacts as if it is. The heart tightens, the stomach turns, the mind races, because to the ancient brain, social danger was real danger. To be rejected from the group could mean death. To be misunderstood could mean losing trust. To be accused could mean being pushed outside the circle. And language made all of this sharper. Before words, rejection may have been physical distance. After words, rejection became a story, a reputation, a label, a name whispered when you were not there. This may be one reason humans care so much about what others think, because language made reputation portable. Someone could harm your place in the tribe without touching your body. They only had to speak. A rumor is a weapon made of air. An insult is a small sound with a long shadow. A label can follow a person longer than a wound. And once a group believes a story about you, that story can become more powerful than what you actually are. This is why language created social reality. And social reality became the world humans live inside. A tree is a tree, but once humans name it, the tree can become property. It can become sacred. It can become a border. It can become a memory. It can become a symbol of home. A stone is a stone, but once humans name it, it can become a tool, a marker, a grave, a weapon, a monument. A person is a body, but once humans name that person, they become a role. Mother, enemy, leader, outcast, hero, criminal, stranger, friend. Words turn the physical world into a social world, and the social world is where humans live most of their lives. You do not only live in a house, you live in the idea of home. You do not only work for money, you work for numbers that represent trust, status, safety, and future of freedom. You do not only fear danger, you fear failure. You fear humiliation. You fear being forgotten. These are language-shaped fears. A line can hurt your body, but a sentence can alter your identity. A storm can destroy your shelter, but a story can destroy your place in the tribe. This is why ancient language may be one of the most powerful inventions in human history. Not because it allowed us to talk, but because it allowed us to build invisible structures: culture, law, religion, reputation, debt, marriage, leadership, taboo, art, shame, memory, myth. Every one of these things depends on shared meaning. A law is only powerful because people understand it and believe others understand it too. Money is only powerful because people agree to treat it as valuable. A leader is only a leader because enough people accept the story of authority. A nation is not just land. It is a shared story about belonging. A family is not just bodies in one place. It is a network of names, duties, memories, promises, and love. Language made these invisible structures possible. And once those structures existed, humans began living inside them. We became animals inside symbols, bodies inside stories, instincts inside grammar. This is the deeper truth. Language did not only describe reality, they created a second reality. And this second reality may be the most human place of all. Because humans do not only ask, "Where is the food?" They ask, "What does this mean?" They do not only ask, "Is there danger?" They ask, "What will they think of me?" They do not only ask, "Can I survive?" They ask, "Who am I?" That question is made of language. Without words, maybe there is pain. Maybe there is hunger. Maybe there is fear. But with words, there is identity. There is a self that can be described, a self that can be compared, a self that can be praised, a self that can be attacked, a self that can be imagined as better or worse than it is. Language gave humans the power to become aware of themselves. But self-awareness is not always peaceful. To know yourself is also to judge yourself. To imagine the future is also to fear it. To remember the past is also to regret it. To understand others is also to worry about their judgment. The same tool that connected minds also made each mind louder. This is why silence can feel strange to modern humans. Because even when nobody is speaking, the inner voice continues. It fills the empty space. It explains. It worries. It invents. It repeats. Maybe ancient humans sat by the fire and listened to the night. Maybe their silence was full of real sounds: wind, animals, crackling wood, breathing, footsteps. But modern silence is often filled with thought, and thought often arrives in words. We are never completely away from language. Even when our mouths are closed, sentences continue inside us. This is why language is not only something we use, it is something we inhabit. It is the room inside the mind. It is the map we confuse for a world. It is the voice that tells us who we are. But here is the strange part. Language is never perfect. No word fully contains a feeling. No sentence perfectly transfers a memory. No explanation can completely show another person what it is like to be you. That may be why humans keep talking. We are always trying again, trying to explain ourselves, trying to be understood, trying to repair the distance between one mind and another. A person says, "I'm fine," when they are not. Because the real feeling is too large. A person says, "I miss you," but even that feels too small. A person says, "I'm sorry," hoping two words can reach the damage. A person says, "I love you," knowing the words are simple, but the meaning is not. Language is powerful, but it is also incomplete. It builds bridges, but there is always a gap underneath, and maybe that gap is part of being human. We are separate bodies, separate minds, separate memories. No one can enter another person completely. So we use words, small sounds, fragile symbols, ancient tools. We throw them across the distance and hope they land. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they fail. Sometimes a sentence saves a relationship. Sometimes a sentence ends one. Sometimes a word gives someone courage. Sometimes a word becomes a wound. This is why words matter. Not because they are perfect, but because they are the best bridge we have. Every word you speak is ancient technology. Every sentence is a bridge. Every silence is also a message. And every human is still trying to solve the same ancient problem. How do I place what is inside me inside another mind? Maybe that's why language began. Not because humans wanted to sound intelligent. Not because they wanted to debate ideas. Not because they wanted to write poetry. But because one mind alone was not enough. Fear was too heavy to carry alone. Memory was too valuable to die alone. Knowledge was too important to stay trapped in one body. Pain was too lonely without a witness. Love was too silent without a sign. So humans made sounds. They shaped breath. They repeated signals. They attached meaning to noise. And slowly, the world changed. A warning became a word. A word became a memory. A memory became a story. A story became a culture. A culture became the invisible world around us. The ancient humans who first shaped meaning from sound are gone. Their voices disappeared into air thousands of years ago. We do not know their first words. We do not know what they sounded like. We do not know if they began with fear, hunger, love, grief, or warning. But the thing they created never disappeared. It is still here, in every apology, every prayer, every promise, every lie, every name, every secret, every argument, every lullaby, every law, every joke, every goodbye, every sentence you wish you had said, and every sentence you wish you could take back. Maybe language began because silence was too dangerous. Maybe it grew because memory needed a body. Maybe it survived because humans were never meant to carry the world alone. So the next time you speak, remember this. You are not only making sound. You are using one of the oldest bridges our species ever built. A bridge from fear to warning, from memory to story, from loneliness to understanding, from one mind to another. And maybe, beneath every word we have ever invented, there is still one ancient message. A message older than writing, older than cities, older than history, bolder than every book, bolder than every nation. A message from the first frightened human trying to reach the circle by the fire. Please understand me.